Hello and welcome to the AI Affairs podcast. Today we are diving deep into what really feels like the next great transformation of artificial intelligence. It's moving out of our laptops, out of our phones, and literally onto our bodies. It's taking the form of these hyper-specialized, very discreet wearable hardware pieces. I mean, think smart jewelry rings, earrings, necklaces, right alongside these massive advances in technologies like augmented reality glasses and, well, even contact lenses.
That's exactly right. And our mission for this deep dive is to really unpack this immense technological potential. On one hand, our sources are detailing these incredible new tools for personalized health for spatial computing. But, and this is the critical part, we have to rigorously contrast that innovation with the really severe and often hidden privacy risks.
The risks these always-on devices introduce.
Always on, constantly sensing. We're talking about constant recording and the shocking ease of biometric data re-identification.
Okay, so let's start there with this trend toward the hyper-discrete. It seems pretty clear the industry believes the next major user interface is one that's worn, not held. We're seeing huge investments that signal this. You have Humane's Pin, Meta's glasses, and of course the billion-dollar collaboration between OpenAI and Jony Ive's company, Hive.
Precisely. It signals a complete shift in how we're meant to interact with ambient AI. And the core of this whole revolution is really in power and sensor miniaturization. Smart rings are just a perfect example.
Right.
They pack these sophisticated PPG sensors, accelerometers, and temperature sensors into a form factor that's, conventional, elegant even. And they use embedded machine learning to crunch just massive amounts of data for real-time health pattern recognition.
But is that data truly actionable for the average person outside of a hospital? I mean, if my ring tells me my heart rate variability suggests high stress, what am I supposed to do with that information in that exact moment? Sure. Is the usability really there yet?
Well, that is the ultimate challenge, translating that clinical-grade data into actual behavioral insights. But the data itself is getting incredibly rich. Beyond just counting steps, these rings offer deep insights into stress by analyzing those HRV patterns you mentioned. They're also providing really sophisticated sleep intelligence. They even have the potential to detect things like early-stage sleep apnea by monitoring respiration, movement, blood oxygen.
Okay, so the data is getting better. Now let's get specific on a major technical breakthrough we saw in the sources, which is this challenge of continuous blood pressure monitoring. We know BP has huge diagnostic value, but a lot of the common optical sensors, the PPG ones, they suffer from signal degradation on darker skin tones. That's a huge algorithmic bias problem.
It is a massive issue for inclusive healthcare data. And smart ring innovation is actually addressing it head-on. See, most optical sensors work by basically shining a little light on your blood vessels to watch color changes. Think of it like a tiny flashlight.
Okay.
But what the research is showing is that smart rings are instead starting to leverage ring-shaped bioimpeding sensors.
And how does bioimpedance change that whole equation?
So if PPG is using a flashlight to look at blood color, bioimpedance uses an invisible, very low-level electrical signal to measure the resistance of your tissue.
So it's not relying on light.
Exactly. Because it doesn't rely purely on light absorption, these bioimpedance sensors can achieve high consistency. They show no significant degradation or discrimination across different skin tones, type I, 4, or 6.
Wow.
And that makes continuous BP estimation far more accurate and, frankly, more equitable, no matter who's wearing the device.
So we've established the power of the smart ring. Now let's look even further into this miniaturization trend. If the ring took over from the wrist, smart earrings seem to be positioning themselves as the next discrete health hub. I was really fascinated by the Lumia 2 smart earrings. They weigh less than a gram. That's 5 times smaller than an AirPod.
And what's fascinating there is that the location, the proximity to the head, dictates a really specialized high-value function. The Lumia 2 goes way beyond standard heart rate and temperature. It tracks real-time blood flow, specifically to the head, using something called a precise light sensor. This is completely new data.
So you're getting data streams about circulation, energy, focus.
Mental clarity.
Right.
All things linked to how much blood is getting to your brain.
That sounds like very specialized medicine in a consumer device. I mean, where did that tech even come from?
It came straight out of clinical research. The initial technology was developed with researchers at Harvard, Johns Hopkins, and Duke. It was specifically to support patients who were dealing with chronic blood flow disorders, things like long COVID and POTS.
So it's a real example of clinical grade sensing moving into a consumer product.
It is. You're getting a direct window into your brain's circulation and focus.
But for this to be an always-on device, the style factor is key. Are they really discreet enough for people to wear them as actual jewelry?
The designers definitely prioritize that. The core part, the Lumia core with the tech, is a small module worn on the back of the left ear. But the critical feature is this modular design. You can swap out the visible front piece. So you can wear anything from, gold hoops to ball studs, or even just these discreet, clear ear cuffs made from non-allergenic materials like platinum or titanium.
That adaptability is everything for consumer adoption. It means the sensor just disappears into your fashion choice.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And while the main feature is this advanced blood flow tracking, they still cover all the standard metrics: heart rate, sleep, readiness, cycle tracking. So basically, you're getting clinical data about your brain's performance packaged inside jewelry you might wear anyway.
It feels like we're building this perfect digital map of our internal selves with these trackers. So now let's talk about building a perfect digital overlay for our external world. Let's shift gears to spatial computing, SC, and this idea of visual augmentation with AI.
Spatial computing is, well, fundamentally, it's the next generation after the personal computer.
Yeah.
We're moving away from interacting with information on flat, two-dimensional screens. SE is really about using digital media for interaction in a spatial context. You're using gestures, speech, and, critically, your gaze to integrate digital content right into your field of view.
And the market is definitely reflecting that shift. The sources we looked at project the AR glasses market alone is set to just explode, from less than $1 billion in 2025 to almost $10 billion by 2030.
A 59% compound annual growth rate. It's staggering.
It is.
And that growth is heavily driven by the tech improvements, things like waveguide optics and micro-LED displays, but also by this rapid adoption in enterprise and industrial settings. This isn't just about consumer entertainment yet. Think about the real-world use cases.
Okay.
Overlaying schematics during machine maintenance, guiding workers through a warehouse, providing live diagnostic data during surgery. That's where the exponential return on investment is hitting first.
So industrial efficiency is funding the tech that will eventually shrink down for the rest of us. But the truly game-changing form factor, the ultimate discrete device, has to be the AR contact lens. Glasses still have a certain bulk, a stigma.
Absolutely. AR contact lenses solve those physical barriers completely. These devices use advanced nanotechnology, microchips, sensors, and embedded AI to project digital overlays directly onto your retina.
Sounds like science fiction.
It's rapidly becoming reality. You have companies like Mojo Vision and Google's Verily division leading the charge. They're building the infrastructure for total, seamless visual and auditory immersion without wearing anything conspicuous at all.
And that seamless integration is exactly where the greatest ethical friction begins, isn't it?
It is.
Let's move to that, to the most troubling potential consequence. When technology becomes this seamless, where does the ethical boundary for consent even fall? Let's talk about the Rewind pendant, which it immediately brings to mind that terrifying Black Mirror episode.
The entire history of you, yes. And the pendant's function is so simple, but the implication is terrifyingly complex. It's a small necklace designed to record every single conversation you have.
Every single.
Every one. It transcribes it, encrypts it, stores this perfect memory on your phone for you to review later. And it's cheap, only $60 to pre-order. Because the cost isn't the hardware, it's the AI that organizes and searches that massive audio archive.
The convenience is obvious. I mean, never forgetting a detail, instantly recalling a name, having perfect meeting notes. But the dystopian scenario is just so clear. If everything is recorded, can we ever truly forget or forgive or just move on from a conversation?
That is the crux of the social contract these devices just shatter. Imagine, a future where you have an argument with your partner, and instead of cooling off, they pull up the transcript and replay your exact words from 6 months ago. Instantly searchable. The technology eliminates the ability to simply let things go. It fundamentally changes the dynamics of trust.
And the professional risks are immense. Recording sensitive business talks at a corporate retreat, easily searchable and shareable. And Rewind, the company, they've stated they would comply with official subpoenas for this data.
Which transforms a personal utility device into a digital surveillance tool with huge legal risk. I think a senior policy analyst for the ACLU put it best. He said the act of removing a phone from your pocket to record someone was, in fact, the greatest privacy protector we ever got.
That little bit of friction.
That tiny bit of friction forced a conscious moment of consent.
Yeah.
The moment you remove the friction, you remove the requirement for explicit consent. And these companies, they promise a vague, privacy-first approach. But that statement is basically worthless. It's worthless without addressing critical issues, like linking verbal consent to a unique voice signature, or the deepfake concerns around edited recordings, and just transparent, enforceable data deletion policies.
If the device is always on, the user is forcing participation on every single person they interact with without their consent.
Exactly.
Okay, so beyond the very clear problem of audio recording, we need to address a more subtle scientific risk. The false sense of security people have when their biometric data is supposedly anonymized before it's shared.
This raises a really important question. Can de-identified wearable data actually protect our privacy? And a systematic review of this found that the answer is overwhelmingly no.
No.
No. The findings show that de-identified data is frequently insufficient to protect privacy. They have something called the correct identification rate, or CIR, and it typically ranges from 86 to a full 100%.
So the problem isn't hackers, it's the data itself. If identification is 100%, why are companies even allowed to call it anonymous?
Because the effort required to re-identify you is shockingly minimal. And here's the kicker.
Okay.
Very little data is required for identification. As little as 1 to 300 seconds of a recording from a seemingly innocuous sensor like an ECG, or just the accelerometer and gyroscope data from your unique walk, your gait.
That's enough?
It's often enough to create a unique digital fingerprint that links back to you with near-perfect accuracy.
And we're not just talking about re-identifying a name, which is bad enough. Machine learning can infer deeply sensitive information we never explicitly volunteered, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The machine learning models just look for patterns, and they can infer highly sensitive information. This includes medical diagnoses like HIV status detailed mental health assessments, stable personality traits, even transient emotional states, all derived from those seemingly benign biometric signals.
It completely alters the risk profile of sharing any health data.
It does.
So that makes the benefit of sharing data, say, for fighting that algorithmic bias we talked about earlier, it makes it seem incredibly risky for the individual. If the risk can't be fully mitigated right now, what's the path forward?
The future really demands solutions that reduce this re-identification risk while still allowing aggregated data analysis. Researchers are emphasizing new directions, things like federated learning, where models train on data without it ever leaving your device.
Right.
And differential privacy, which injects noise to mask individual records, and also using synthetic data. These methods are essential to balance the public benefits of data sharing with the fundamental right to user privacy.
We've covered enormous ground today. We've seen this powerful miniaturization into stylish smart jewelry rings and earrings providing clinical-grade data. We've seen the rise of spatial computing via AR contact lenses, promising a truly integrated, hands-free future. And then this immense ethical challenge of continuous surveillance, like with Rewind Pendant, and the systemic re-identification risk hiding in our supposedly anonymized data.
And we connect this to the bigger picture. All of this high-performance wearable tech, all this immersive spatial computing, it's all going to be enabled by the next generation of connectivity, specifically 6G. We're talking about peak rates of 1 terabit per second, latency as low as 0.1 milliseconds.
Which is almost instantaneous.
It's basically real time.
Yeah.
So as devices become faster, smaller, and more deeply integrated into our daily lives, facilitating everything from Industry 5.0 to remote telesurgery, we have to actively engage with the policies governing this constant flow of hyper-personal data.
But who is truly responsible for that engagement? Is it the consumer? Is it the regulator who can barely keep pace? Or is it the companies like OpenAI and Hive who are funding the creation of this inherently risky, discrete hardware in the first place? That is the question we must all ask ourselves as these devices become ubiquitous. Thank you for listening, and see you next time on AI Affairs.